My name is Aleksander Wierzejski and welcome to Poland Daily. The Qadir Big Family Card has been available in Poland since June 2014. This year, the benefits of the Qadir card are being extended to families with children of any age. Because of this, multi-child families may take advantage for discounts for, among others, public transport tickets, purchases and bank services.
The Ministry of Family has estimated that up to 600,000 more families can benefit from the program. Over 40 million zloty was allocated for the program.
Parents of children who are already adults can submit an application and will receive the KDR card that entitles them to a 37% discount or 49% if it's a monthly ticket. Half of the fee can be used for passports, discounts in participating stores, and free admission to state parks.
Every member of a large family can receive a free Big Family Card regardless of their income. Parents can use it for life and children may use the card up to 18 years of age or if they study until graduation. We have 4 children, of which 2 are already adults. The other 2 are also going to grow up soon, and it's a good thing that the state has come up with something to show some gratitude to us for raising these children, who are now adult citizens and increase gross national income. As reported by the Family Department, in total the discounts for large families are already provided by almost 5,000 companies and institutions. The KDR card of a large family has been acquired so far by over 2,034,000 Poles. After the changes made this year, that number will definitely be higher. Such programs can always help when it comes to demography and the economy. An application for a large family card should be submitted to the local government office corresponding to the place of residence or online at the Empatia information and service platform. It should be accompanied by a statement that the parent has or had a total of at least 3 children and that he or she has no limits or restrictions of parental authority.
Will the European Commission question the act on electricity prices adopted by Polish government in the extraordinary procedure at the end of the year? This possibility could exist if Brussels considers the law providing compensation to energy companies to be illegal state aid.
Ustawa zamrażająca podwyżki cen prądu przyjęta tuż przed końcem roku przez polski
The act concerning higher electricity prices adopted by the Polish government at the end of the year is being questioned by the European Commission. It could be considered unlawful state aid. Countries in the European Union are obliged to notify the European Commission about every kind of state aid.
działań pomocy publicznej przed wdrożeniem nowego.
Yesterday, the spokesman of the European Commission declared that no notification had been given before the act was adopted by the Polish government and they were looking forward to see it. Politicians from the opposition claim that this is the effect of a too quickly adopted act. Government representatives say that there wasn't any need for a notification in this case. The government has expertise which indicate that the act cannot be treated as illegal state aid.
Nie można traktować jako niedozwoloną pomoc publiczną.
Biorąc pod uwagę ekspresowe ścieżki legislacyjne,
Fast legislative paths, quick amendments, projects and fast adoption of acts. This is not the right way to make law. If the European Commission finds this state aid illegal, then it will be a big mistake committed by the Law and Justice Party's government. It could end tragically, not in the legislative dimension, but in Poles' wallets.
będzie zastrzeżenia podnosić.
The Ministry of Energy has had regular contact with the European Commission in this matter. It transmits information and documents that indicate there is no illegal state aid here. This is a compensation for energy companies for solutions that have been adopted by the legislator, solutions that caused the discount to be introduced into electricity prices for citizens, companies and local governments. The discount must be introduced to compensate the energy companies. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, this project is consistent with the European Union's law.
Ustawa przewiduje m.in. rekompensaty dla spółek energetycznych, dlatego
The act concerns compensation for energy companies. That's why during the debate, opposition politicians indicated that this might be considered illegal state aid. The Minister of Energy argued that there is no need for a notification and that this is not to help the energy companies but energy consumers. The act was adopted by the government with only 3 votes against.
odbiorcom energii elektrycznej.
A recent statement made by Minister of Foreign Affairs Jacek Czaputowicz concerning current President of the European Council, Donald Tusk, has offended the opposition. The message was, however, met with understanding from politicians of the Law and Justice Party and some columnists. In an interview with the Polska daily newspaper, Minister Czaputowicz said Tusk is taking Germany's side when it comes to Polish affairs.
In his interview with the Polish daily newspaper Polska, the chief of Polish diplomacy, Jacek Czaputowicz, said that Donald Tusk is not a representative of Poland in the European Council. He underlined that it was in fact Jacek Saryusz-Wolski who was supposed to be Poland's candidate for the post. We understand the Treaty on European Union states clearly that only member states can put forward their own candidates. However, there is no treaty that would prohibit the submission of a candidate to some other member state. Such a candidate would, in fact, be a German representative, though not formally. Whether the wording was unfortunate or not, Donald Tusk became the president of the European Council. He earned it with some hard work, for example by refusing to veto the 2008 Climate Accord. The words coming from the head of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs have agitated the opposition's politicians. I find it difficult to comment on that statement in any rational sort of way, as the statement is a disgrace to both Jacek Czaputowicz and Poland as a whole. We all remember the damage Donald Tusk caused Poland, but after all that, he is still Polish. Donald Tusk has been the president of the European Council since 2014. In March 2017, during a summit in Brussels, representatives of 27 EU member states supported his candidacy for a second term in office. Only the then Polish Prime Minister Beata Szydło voted against Tusk's re-election, whose second term is set to end on November 30th this year.
Next Wednesday, the Italian Minister of Internal Affairs and Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini will visit Warsaw to talk to the ruling Law and Justice Party leader Jarosław Kaczyński. Salvini is considered a conservative star of European politics. Polish media are speculating what on the topic of the talks. Our reporter Wojciech Kościak has more.
News about the meeting scheduled for next Wednesday was broken by the Italian paper La Repubblica, who said it would be no easy task for the Italian side. The delegation of the ruling Italian party Lega has been in Warsaw twice. The Law and Justice Party chief was cautious due to the pro-Russian stance of the Italian politicians. A meeting between the two will finally be held on January 9th, and on the agenda is likely to be the question about a common position in the elections to the European Parliament. We cannot be counted as part of the Eurosceptics, I mean the Law and Justice Party, because we're not Eurosceptics. We're for a European Union, and Eurosceptics are generally against one. But we have common ideas on how to modify this project, how to point out the weaknesses that are generating crisis. I am confident that this is something we can talk about. The difference is our relation to Russia. Italy is generally much more pro-Russian than Poland, no matter who is in charge. But there might be areas where we agree, and it's a good idea to look for them. There are plenty of issues that tie Rome with Warsaw. Migration policy and an assertive posture towards the Brussels policy. So one could expect that Salvini and Kaczyński might be politicians who will gather under one umbrella with Euro-realist political groups from Holland, Sweden, Italy, Hungary and Poland to create a strong faction in a new European Parliament. Italian media says the Salvini-Kaczyński talks are the key to build a conservative coalition in the new European Parliament that would also admit Front National members with Marine Le Pen, as well as Eurosceptics from Holland or Sweden. Hungary's Viktor Orban isn't mentioned among the possible members of the eventual Sovereign Front. He prefers to stay with the European People's Party. Matteo Salvini isn't limiting himself to Europe. He already met Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in December and will meet the new president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, and President Trump in the upcoming months.
Huge snowfall in the Tatra and Sudety mountains is good news for skiers. On the other hand, snow is also often cause of real danger. The highest level of avalanche danger was reached in Polish mountains today, with a group of people becoming trapped in a snowstorm in the Five Ponds Valley.
Heavy snowfall surprised the tourists currently spending time in the Polish mountains. A video showing a group of people snowed in, trying to dig their way out of a meteorological station on the Kasprowy Wierch mountain went viral online. Mountain Rescue had to send a helicopter to help the tourists. A break in the severe weather allowed evacuation of tourists from the Roztoka Valley Mountain Hostel. Lake Morskie Oko Mountain Hostel tourists are still completely cut off because of over 6 feet of heavy snowfall. Emergency services are not currently able to reach them. The strongest avalanche warning there is in effect since Thursday. Avalanche may come down unexpectedly with no apparent trigger. The rescue services are advising tourists not to take any hikes. The Morskie Oko trail has been shut down completely.
And that was it for tonight's Poland Daily. Please stay tuned for upcoming weather and business report.
Good evening, I'm Paulina Odrstein. Welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Overnight lows will be from -6 degrees around Olsztyn up to 0 degrees in Gdańsk. There will be no snow, but most parts of Poland will see some snow or rain. Also, it will be very cool around Łódź, -6, -5, Białystok, Lublin, Rzeszów, Krakow, and -4 in the other regions like Katowice, Wrocław, Zielona Góra, as well as in Szczecin. Now let's check what will happen tomorrow. Tomorrow, the temperatures are looking quite promising, except Rzeszów will see -1 degree Celsius. Very nice and warm. Gdańsk, 6 degrees, 5 Koszalin, also 6 degrees in Szczecin, going lower. Zielona Góra, 5 degrees, 6 in Poznań as well. 3 degrees will be seen in Warsaw and 2 degrees in Łódź. It will be quite rainy and some sun will appear in the northern regions as well as near Szczecin. Now let's check the forecast for the next days. So on Sunday, we will see maximum 4 degrees and minimum -4. On Monday, -4 in central Poland, and the minimum will be -5 in the southeast as well as in the northeast. Quite a bit of sun, though. And on Tuesday, it will be sunny in the lower regions of Poland. The maximum temperature will be noted in the northwest part of Poland. This is all for tonight. Thank you and see you soon.
Poland Daily Business Edition. Our guest tonight is Marcin Roszkowski of Jagiellonian Institute. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's say a few words about the change of the energy law and VAT and taxes on energy consumption in Poland. That happened in the last week of past year.
Actually, the parliamentary session was just last working day of the previous year. So, but the change could have happened in January, actually, because all the benchmarks, all the arguments behind the bill were there 12 months ago. So what has happened? When you pay your energy bill, actually, the energy is more or less half of the bill, and the energy is very heavily influenced by the CO2 emissions, by the prices of coal, because Polish electricity production is mainly based on coal. So this part has increased rapidly. That could be foreseen. So the government cannot actually influence this part of the bill, but can influence the second part of the bill, meaning taxes. So akcyza, opłata przejściowa, these taxes have been reduced also as a byproduct part of the VAT. These taxes have been reduced. As a result, the bill will be lower if the bill stands, because there are some concerns about the need of notification of this kind of legislation. Also, some constitutional issues have emerged because of the way the bill is constructed.
Okay, so
this is not the end.
It's not the end, but it temporarily freezes the prices of the energy, yet...
Actually, the bill in the first draft was more or less doable. Now, what has happened is so many amendments have been put to the bill in the night before the signing of the bill by the President. So these concerns are on the table, and legally the utilities are binded to amend the agreements to lower the prices, but generally the ball is in the game, and I assume the bill will be notified. All will be amended, unfortunately. So the January will be a messy month in the energy sector also.
Yes, but this is obviously in the light of upcoming election. This October we will have a general election in Poland, and obviously the rising prices of electricity were one of the issues raised by the opposition. But that's not all. Yeah. The Poland, in your opinion, as an energy expert, is Poland forced to change its energy mix?
Yes, Poland will be forced to change its energy mix. Poland, as a member of European Union, has certain obligations to fulfill, and actually we are covered by ETS system, which actually pretty much influences the emission level of Polish energy sector. Polish energy sector produces over 800 kilograms of CO2 per 1 megawatt of electricity produced, and that's more or less 3 times higher than the average of the European Union. So Polish economy is very heavily influenced by the prices of the CO2 and the energy and climate policy of European Union.
Of course, and it was created to balance the price, which means make the traditional electricity so expensive that countries and companies will tend to buy these renewables.
Yes, but many things have also changed. First of all, the technology prices have dropped when talking about renewables, so the market is developing pretty fast. There was a tender for onshore wind in Poland for 2,000 zloty, and more or less the winning price was 2,000 zloty. The average price on the stock exchange, in the energy exchange, is 310 for the next year. So these figures are comparable, and renewables are getting cheaper. Also, no new technologies in clean coal, so-called, have been developed and put into action on Polish market, actually. So the market is going in a different direction.
But the clean coal does not influence the CO2 emission. It's the same.
It depends, because you can process coal and lower the emissions. There's a plant, a heating plant in southern Poland that emits more or less 300 kilograms of CO2 per megawatt, but it uses processed coal. So just simply burning coal as we did, it's a no-go. As long as we are part of the European Union, this is the influence of these legislation will be forcing us to change the energy mix. But actually, it's being changed by itself also, because in hard coal we have problems because 1/3 of the coal is imported, so we do not have our own resources here. And when talking about lignite, these resources will be ending by the mid of 30s. So anyway, we do not have these resources available as we had them available, I don't know, 50 years ago or 30 years ago.
Okay, so you are saying that lower price of the renewable can
lower the prices in Polish energy mix. Unfortunately, what is the danger for Poland is that the natural fuel for the transition is natural gas, and for the time being, we are importing the natural gas from our, let's say, partners in the Russian Federation. They're using it as a tool of influence in other sectors of politics and economy. But also, and that's the argument behind real diversification. So, what is Polish government aiming at is bringing the natural gas physically from other directions than the Russian Federation. Meaning
United States Qadir LNG terminal and
Baltic
so on.
pipeline to Norway, and also extending the gas terminal in Świnoujście.
But that's the element of a larger strategy. And let's talk about the energy price in Poland and competitiveness of Polish economy, because down the road, this is at stake.
Yes, the competitiveness is at stake, and what we can see is that the government in Poland is trying to lower the prices for the households, keeping it as low as possible, which actually is understandable when you have the elections this year. But actually the prices are free and are rising in the whole rest of the economy. So the situation is different from what we can see, for example, in Germany. The Energiewende is paid by the German households. The prices are over 1,000 zloty, and the prices for the industry are kept very low.
Right. So do we have a chance for this prosumer market on electricity to be developed in Poland?
You mean the spreading the generation of electricity and heating and making it in remote places is very good for the grid, but also it's good for our pockets, because when we have the prices of, for example, PVs now dropping dramatically, actually the households are it will be very convenient for them,
especially if combined with energy magazines. Do we have any plans to build energy magazines in Poland?
And that's the future of the energy, because one of the things that have changed is also the consciousness of what is happening in the environment, and also how the pollution influences our daily life.
Okay.
About storing energy, yes, that's the whole grail of energy. It is being worked at. The process is on its way. I think in a couple of years, and we will be there.
Okay, because Australia is already there. They have this.
And imagine what is important in the energy sector is to see all the processes as a whole. When you have, for example, electric cars, they serve as energy storage, so they are filling the gap in this puzzle.
Right. The other question is how sustainable for European Union is keeping the policy that sets this part of the world apart from anybody else, because no one else is having ETS. And
but the discussion, actually the negotiations and the discussions are already, we are behind them. The decision has been made 12 years, 10 years ago. So now we have,
right, but
we just
if something
face the
doesn't work, why keep it? Why pursue that?
But actually, that's worrying for Poland. But generally, nobody cares in Poland, in Europe, how we react about that, because nobody has these kinds of problems with coal generation at this level.
That's true.
So generally, we had time to adjust. We didn't. So the problems are on the table.
Okay, well, we'll see
so
how we will solve it.
Year.
Marcin Żorzkowski, sir, thank you very much for visiting this show, and that was it for tonight's Poland Daily Business.
Good evening, this is Paulina Otterstein and welcome again to Poland Daily Weather. So tomorrow in Poland the weather is looking quite promising, especially in the northern regions like Gdańsk, also in Koszalin and Szczecin 5 to 6 degrees, also 6 degrees in Poznań, 5 degrees in Zielona Góra, a bit cooler in Łódź, only 2 degrees, but the coolest will be the area of Rzeszów with -1 degree and some snow. Now let's check what will happen in Europe tomorrow. So if we look at the map of Europe, of course, the warmest regions will be around Madrid, 10 degrees with a lot of sun, 12 degrees in Lisbon, Portugal. Quite a bit of sun will be also seen in the area of Paris in France, 5 degrees, 5 degrees also in London with some sun and clouds, and Warsaw, for example, 3 degrees with some clouds and rain. This is all for tonight. Thank you and see you soon. Welcome to Poland Daily Culture. Today we're at the Tusk Palace in Warsaw.
I was born a blank page. The work and art of generations have shaped my life. You all taught me, accompanying every move I have made. My European heritage, knowledge, experience, and creative genius, piquing my curiosity. Innovation drives my present, from my past to my future. What I believe, what I decide, what I do, what I cherish. One day, this will be the past for future generations. I am the past. I am the future. I am a European.
Cultural heritage pervades our private life and everything we do as society. It is present in the buildings that surround us, as well as landscapes and archaeological sites. It is formed not only by literature, art and historical artifacts, but also crafts, storytelling, culinary traditions, songs and movies. Cultural heritage brings us together and helps us understand the places we live in. It also has an important role to play in the economy. More than 300,000 people across the continent find employment in the field of cultural heritage today, while a further 7.8 million jobs, for example in tourism and construction, are indirectly linked to the sector. Cultural heritage also shows a positive impact on our societies, improving the general quality of life, increasing social cohesion, and promoting intercultural dialogue. Cultural heritage is more than the legacy of past generations. It is the very foundation of our future.
Today I'll have a short conversation with Maria Gontarczuk, who is an art historian. Maria, welcome to Poland Daily Culture.
Thank you for having me.
So my first question will be, because 2018 is the year of European cultural heritage, and I would like to know what events were and are organized because of it.
We are now approaching the end of European Year of Cultural Heritage, which was designated by the European Commission in January 2018. So we now at the end of it actually. And there were about 300 initiatives in Poland, involving 900 institutions, and we've estimated 300,000 visitors to each of the events organized by it. And I believe the most important event being part of this program was Uwolnij Pegaza, which was a design competition, and the participants were basically reusing the images, the official images produced by the program, and reusing them in the design of everyday products. And the winners were actually exhibited in Kraków, and the exhibition finished just 2 weeks ago, I believe, and it was really successful. So we're happy that we were able to, organize this sort of event in Poland.
How were those initiatives and projects beneficial to Poland?
Well, first of all, we had a chance to promote our culture and our heritage, not only in the European Union, but also abroad, to non-Europeans who were interested in, engaging with our culture, engaging with our heritage, and getting to know us more, basically, and getting to know our history. So that was really beneficial for Poland, but also we got engaged, like, so many people from Poland to getting involved in participating in our cultural heritage programs, in the events, and that was really, I believe, beneficial for our society, to take part in this amazing journey.
So now, changing the subject a bit, I would like to ask about Wojciech Fangor, who is a very well-known Polish painter. And just recently, a few weeks ago, two of his paintings were sold for a few million zlotys. What is your comment on that?
So yeah, it was a really successful year for Polish art market, and I believe Wojciech Fangor should be recognized as, Polish national treasure. We are so lucky as Poles to have such a great artist, recognized not only in Poland but also abroad, which is, really important for artists nowadays. And the recent auctions were highly successful. The first one, the painting M39, which he painted in 1959, was sold for about 4 million Polish zloty, which is such an incredible success for Polish art market. The painting was originally painted for Fangor's individual exhibition at Guggenheim Museum in New York, and that's why probably it was, the auction was so successful, just because, you don't get to see and, buy these things that often, and I believe that it was what it made being unique. And the other painting, which was actually the group of paintings, group of 5 paintings, was a really groundbreaking art piece, because as we know, Fangor is a forefather of the really important art movement called op art, which is optical art. Art that engages with the eyes of the viewer. It plays, with our minds. It plays with our, imagination. So. And it's all based on, optical illusions kind of, effects. So I believe this painting was actually, one of the pieces that started this art movement, and that's why it's such an important work. And we're happy that, it all started in Poland on a Polish ground. So yes.
And you said he's a national treasure.
Yes.
So what exactly made him or his art pieces so special?
It's just, I believe these illusions those paintings created, when you look at it, you really get the sense of being played with almost, played with your mind, played with your eye. You can't really perceive these paintings just by looking at them. You have to have a think. You have to just, take a look at them, maybe once, maybe twice, and then just think about what they represent in reality. So I guess, these paintings are just, they're just incredible. I'm personally in love with Fangor's work, and I believe Poles should be really proud of, having him as a national artist.
Thank you very much, Maria.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
In order to emphasize the significance of cultural heritage for the development of Europe, the European Parliament and Council of the European Union have declared 2018 as the European Year of Cultural Heritage. Its objective is to encourage cooperation with a view to preserving, reusing, developing, and promoting European heritage, as well as showing it in all tangible and intangible diversity as the legacy of past generations that strongly continues to shape our present.
Thank you for joining us today, and see you very soon on our next episode in Poland Daily Culture.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the Tin Roof Palace, one of the most prestigious estates that belonged to the late Prince Poniatowski. It is right here that we will explore not only the political, public life of the late prince, but also his personal stories in detail with my prestigious guest. In 19th century Europe, a king is the ultimate symbol of authority, and there is very little bond stronger than that of blood. Here we will explore the relationship between King Stanisław August and the prince. So during the time, the King of Poland is Stanisław August Poniatowski, which shares the same last name with the prince. And are they directly related, or what are their relationships?
Książę Józef urodził się w Wiedniu. Matką jego była czeska Austriaczka, księżna Kińska.
Prince Józef Poniatowski was born in Vienna, with his mother being a Czech Austrian duchess, and so everything pointed to Józef being an Austrian citizen through and through. However,
stryj, jak u nas się mówi, zażądał od bratanka.
However, once his uncle Stanisław Augustus Poniatowski was crowned King of Poland, he ordered his nephew to come to Poland and found him a place. You could say that he restored Józef Poniatowski to Poland. The decision to bring the prince to our country was also linked to the fact that Prince Józef lost his father at a very young age. The king felt responsibility to care for his late brother's son. On many occasions, he intervened in the development of his nephew's career. That is why Prince Józef settled well in Poland. Firstly, he was familiar with the language since he was little. He had a dedicated caretaker who also taught him Polish. Secondly, he was well versed in Polish manners. He could hold his own among magnates and the noblemen. He was very well received by the Polish nation.
Wobec szlachty, wobec magnatów i był niezwykle dobrze przyjęty na terenie naszego kraju.
That is very interesting. So, did the prince treat the king as his father figure, or what are their interpersonal relationship really like?
Tak, można powiedzieć, że książę Józef traktował Stanisława Augusta jak swojego ojca. Zresztą przez
Yes, he could certainly say that Prince Józef treated King Stanisław Augustus as a foster father.
Ewentualny jego następca. To też brano pod uwagę i w pewnym sensie stał się, ale już w innym, bohaterskim sensie.
Those two figures, however, his paternal father and the king, certainly did not mix in the prince's mind. Józef valued the achievements and character of his father Tadeusz. Besides, he was treated as a true heir to the throne by the majority of the nobility, who were the ones who had the deciding vote in the choice of the Polish king. In a way, he was the successor, but in a different way. For instance, he cared for King Stanisław Augustus and tried to maintain his health, which was a hard task in the case of this king. Consequently, the prince felt horrible that after the decoronation, the king was transported to the Russian kingdom and later to St. Petersburg.
W 1908 roku, już za życia cara Pawła, który był wrogiem własnej matki, a przyjacielem Polaków i króla naszego uwolnił w zasadzie z internowania.
In fairness, Prince Józef never visited the former King Stanisław Augustus in Russia after the decoronation, but when Prince Józef did visit St. Petersburg, mind you, the capital of an enemy empire, it was for the funeral of his uncle in 1798. This happened during Tsar Paul I's reign, Catherine's son, who was enemies with his own mother, but friends with the Polish people. He set the Polish king free and allowed him to live in a marble palace, hence the memory of the Polish king was well retained in that city.
Za granicą sowiecko-polską. I wtedy bliżej nieznani sprawcy, przypuszczalnie miejscowi, sprofanowali szczątki naszego króla. No, wróciła już tylko urna z prochami i została złożona w naszym kościele katedralnym w Warszawie. Jest to jedyny król pochowany w Warszawie. Książę Józef traktował króla Stanisława Augusta Poniatowskiego jak swojego przybranego ojca. Oczywiście nie mieszały mu się te postacie, dobrze pamiętał zasługi i charakter swojego ojca Tadeusza, niemniej
Prince Józef Poniatowski appreciated the effort that the king made to strengthen their relationship. He paid close attention to King Stanisław Augustus, he was devoted to him. That is why he decided to abandon a rather prolific military career in Austria, which at the time was at war with Turkey, and come to Poland to prepare for his new role of the defender of our homeland. He was not particularly fond of the past relationship between Stanisław Augustus, before he was crowned, at the time still a representative of Poland in St. Petersburg, with the future Empress of Russia, Catherine the Great. As we know, they were very close, so much so they even had a daughter together who died before her second birthday. Later on, many more events, which are being interpreted as Catherine's revenge on her ex-lover who left her in St. Petersburg. Whether that is true or not, we will never know. Nonetheless, the fact is that Prince Józef Poniatowski did not wish to see Empress Catherine the Great.
Czy to jest prawda, już dzisiaj nie rozstrzygniemy. Faktem jest, że książę Józef Poniatowski z carycą widzieć się nie chciał. No, losy pośmiertne naszego króla były równie tragiczne jak jego życie. Został pochowany w katolickim...
Well, the king's fate after his death was just as tragic as his life had been. He was buried at the Catholic Church of St. Catherine. That is especially ironic considering the all but saintly life of the Russian Empress. After the regaining of Polish independence, the remains of King Stanisław Augustus were returned to Poland in 1938.
Przywiezione do Rzeczpospolitej II już.
However, there must have been a curse placed on the king, as his remains were unfortunately placed in the church he had been baptized in, near the border between Poland and Belarus. It was unfortunate because then the Second World War came and the borders changed yet again, leaving the king behind the Soviet border. After that, unknown assailants, presumably local residents, desecrated the remains of King Stanisław Augustus. All that was left was an urn with the ashes. The urn was placed at the St. John's Arch Cathedral in Warsaw, making King Stanisław Augustus the only Polish king buried in Warsaw.
W katedrze świętego Jana w Warszawie. Jest to jedyny król polski, który spoczywa w stołecznej katedrze warszawskiej.
When the king finally surrendered to the aggressors, the path of their faith finally branches. The prince respected his king until the very end, but his dedication to his nation and his longing to his duties was ever greater. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. I'll see you next time on Poland Daily History.
Welcome again to Poland Daily Travel. Thanks for watching. In this new series over the next few nights, we're taking you to the heart of beautiful downtown Warsaw. That's right, we're visiting the central train station, where we will be talking to a few friends about adventures on trains and cruising around the station. So stay with us. Warszawa Dworzec Centralny. Did you know that Dworzec means station? It is, if you will, the Grand Central Station of Warsaw. The huge station sits opposite the 237-meter-tall Palace of Culture and Science, and right next to and across the street from the 40-story tall Marriott Hotel, which was the first Western-style skyscraper in the old Soviet Union and its satellites. So there it is. Let's go inside and take a look.
Wow, we're outside the station, as you can easily see, and it's cold. And I feel as if I'm at Soldier Field for one of the football games in Chicago, the famous football stadium for the Chicago Bears. It's really cold, and it should be. It's December in beautiful downtown Warsaw. Hey, Les.
Yes.
How does this compare to the weather in Chicago?
About the same. But it could be a little bit colder in Soldier Field off the lakefront.
Off the lakefront, yeah,
yes.
That wind just gets right with you, yeah?
Yes, it is.
One of the great things about being inside the station is it's not so cold. Right now, it is a bit chilly. Les, when did you take your first train here at the station? Do you remember?
First train at the station was about a year ago.
About a year ago? Where were you going?
I was going to Gdańsk.
Oh, that's right. You said
yes.
before you were going. That's the Gdańsk train.
Correct.
Yeah, and were you on a train recently?
Yes, I was. Just a couple of days ago, I went to Kielce.
You went to Kielce. Why'd you do that? You just arrived.
I just arrived. I couldn't rent a car, and the best way for transportation to Kielce was taking a train, believe it or not.
How long did that take?
2 hours and 50 minutes.
2 hours and 50 minutes. And Kielce is just south of Warsaw on the way to Krakow, isn't it?
Right. It's right in the middle there.
No, it's a nice town. Has a good cathedral there, or a big church. Anyways, is it a cathedral? I don't know. I don't know.
I'm
It's
not
a big
sure.
church. It's
yes,
a big
it is
church.
a big church.
Yeah, and it's a nice place, Kielce, to go. But maybe not this time of year is not the best time. But in the summer, their town square is very nice.
It's beautiful there, but the train ride was super. It was nice and warm and comfortable.
Warszawa Centralna. The Warsaw Central Station was a flagship project of the People's Republic of Poland during the 1970s, just as its neighbor, the Palace of Culture, had been in the 50s. Both of these huge structures were designed to show that socialism under the Soviet Union worked. But the showing off did not go as planned. In fact, what was seen was real socialism at work. The design was innovative, but construction was plagued by changes to the plans and cutting corners using shoddy materials. Meanwhile, the rush was on to impress Soviet potentate Leonid Brezhnev on his 1975 visit to Warsaw, the capital of the Soviet Union's largest satellite. So far, so not so good. The old station was in constant renovation throughout the 1980s. It was never quite there. It had a face only a mother could love. And yet, despite its deficiencies, it was fairly swish. There was something epic in at least its concept, if you compared it to other older train stations throughout the region. Great Scott! There were automatic doors, escalators, and elevators for each platform. There were also winding tunnels that went on for hundreds and hundreds of meters beneath the city surface. The dirty old station finally got a facelift in 2012 for the Euro Championships, including a natty mezzanine level. Today, the station fairly hums with all kinds of activity, both consumer and travel. Still, there are lingering doubts about this building, about this space, from which so many people depart and to which so many people arrive. For years, there has been a simmering debate over tearing the station down or keeping on with renovating it. Just as with its neighbor, the Palace of Culture, another love-hate object. The Warsaw city government has talked about demolishing and replacing the station, either at the same location or farther from the city center. What do you think? A superb example of functionalist architecture? A masterpiece of Polish modernism? or a communist-era pile that begs for demolition. That's Warsaw Central. Come have a look and judge for yourself.
Isabella, how you holding up out here in the cold?
I'm fine. He's shaking.
Nicholas has gone to his funny British hat.
Yeah, I have. Well, it's ideal. I'm the only one who's not freezing. I mean, why wouldn't you wear a funny British hat other than in the cold? I mean, what do you want to do, freeze to death?
Well, it's not that funny. It's
a traditional British hat. Yeah, they've been making these, you know, from the hatter in Locks of St. James's Street, have been selling hats for 300 years. So they know a thing or two about hats, yeah.
So that hat is 300 years old?
Oh my God!
No, the hat's not quite 300 years old. Actually, it's rather more modern than that. But the hat maker, who probably made hats for people like Nelson, is still going strong in St. James's Street.
Who is Nelson? Is that a friend of yours?
Well, even though you may think I was born in the 18th century, I wasn't actually. So I never got to meet him.
You mean Lord Nelson, the guy on the top of the statue in Trafalgar Square?
Yeah, who won the Battle of Trafalgar? Absolutely.
Yeah, he was an important guy. Yeah,
very important,
wasn't he? Anyway, look behind us. The station, and here you can see the buses moving. This is the nexus of all travel coming into Warsaw. And behind us, I remember in the old days you would come here and you would see the Palace of Culture, which is behind us now, in front of us now, and the Marriott. And these were the two tallest buildings. The Marriott was the first tall Western building, style building that was built in Warsaw. I think it opened in '88 or '89. And it was a rival to the Palace of Cultures. The Americans came in and they built this tall 40-foot skyscraper, and right across from that it looks over at the Stalin Palace of Culture. So it was a big statement at that time. And boy, things have changed a lot, because now the skyline of Warsaw is full of skyscrapers and lots of new ones being built. I mean, the downtown Warsaw is a construction site now for new buildings. Anyway, this is the place right behind us if you want to come and get a train and go somewhere beautiful. Thanks very much. So we're going to move on now, and we're going to go to one of my favorite places in Warsaw to go and get warm, or in the summer have a beer and sit outside when you're going on a trip or when you are coming back. Great place to hang out. And maybe Jeff will join us again. Okay, so thanks very much. We'll go, and next thing we'll do is you'll see us in front of the Hard Rock Cafe. Whoa. Gosh, it's cold. Let's move, folks.